Breaking news now on Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Well, now at 10, we begin with breaking news in Berlin. We have learned a Weathersfield firefighter has died following a UTV crash while responding to the ongoing brush fire in Berlin. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. This happened while crews were on Lamentation Mountain. A procession just wrapped up, and that's where we find Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot. She joins us. So, Kay, what's it like out there?
Brian and Sarah, it was an emotional procession, and I spoke to a couple who watched as it went by, and they said they had to pay their respects. And as the red and as the blue officer trucks and firefighter trucks went down the Berlin Turnpike, it was really just a sea just like that.
Bless the gentleman, and God bless to the town of Weathersfield Fire Department.
While firefighters in Berlin were trying to stop the fire from spreading on Lamentation Mountain, the unthinkable happened to another first responder.
At 5:35, it was reported that a ATV operating on the south end of the fire had rolled over.
A firefighter from Weathersfield passed away as a result of that crash. 2 others were injured and sent to the hospital. A procession was held Tuesday night in honor of that fallen firefighter, traveling down the Berlin Turnpike and heading to the office of the chief medical examiner.
Came out here today because I was a volunteer fireman for many years, and just to support the town of Weathersfield, as it's a brotherhood. No matter in the department, out of the department, it's a brotherhood in the towns.
John Kyle says he was in the area and wanted to pay his respects.
The procession was unbelievable. He got a really good send-off. And I'm sure the funeral is going to be even bigger. They'll have departments from all over the United States for his funeral.
John had never been to a procession before. He said it was really important that he come out and support Weathersfield's fire department. He said, in the end, they're all brothers. Live in Berlin, Kay Pattyfoot, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Such a tragedy, Kay, thank you. Meanwhile, the flames are still burning tonight in Berlin. Firefighters still working hard to put that fire out that started on Lamentation Mountain yesterday.
And Fox 61's Kayla Cade is live in Berlin to give us an update on that fire and where progress stands right now. Kayla.
Yes. That's right, guys. I'm currently here, and as you can see behind me, that fire is still there. It's not as big as yesterday, but you can still see some flames. Now, city officials held a press conference today where we were told that they are bringing in more resources to help extinguish this fire, and they currently do not know how long the fire will continue. Tuesday marks day 2 of a brush fire that started on Lamentation Mountain in Berlin on Monday. And so far, it has burned 90 acres of land.
Once the fire crews get into that burn tonight, we'll probably see that number grow, but for the better.
Berlin Fire Chief John Masserio says they are now calling it the Hawthorne Fire. Multiple fire departments in our area are teaming up to extinguish it.
About 40 firefighters that are working, our command staff here, which probably is up around another 15, I'd say. We had 5 UTVs and 2 state pump trucks working out there.
The fire is still burning in the forest, but it's now under control, according to Governor Ned Lamont.
Thanks to your amazing work.
The governor says firefighters will also receive help from the state's National Guard and as far north as from Maine.
Thankfully, it's bringing down others so they can dump water on this, do everything they can to cut in the periphery to limit any expansion of this fire.
Chief Masserio says they will be back out tomorrow morning to reassess the fire. Now, in the meantime, residents are being urged to avoid campfires or any open burning because of that high brush fire risk. Live in Berlin, Kayla Cade, Fox 61 Connecticut's news station.
All right, Kayla, thank you. And you will find more coverage of these breaking news stories on our free Fox 61 app. Just use the QR code there on your screen to download it, or you can go to fox61.com 24/7. All right, time now for a check on the weather. And of course, these dry conditions are just the perfect storm for brush fires.
And it was really warm out there, too. Yeah, it's not good. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank for our first check of the forecast. Rachel.
Yeah, and it looks like the winds will only increase as we head through the day tomorrow, and that will help to fan the flames. Gusts could get up to 20, 30 miles an hour. And due to the combination of just how badly we need the rain, which we will not be getting tomorrow, due to the warm conditions out there, and also due to the breeze, a red flag warning is now in effect starting at 8 a.m. and continuing until 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. They issue this when any outdoor fires can catch or spread quickly. And as we were just kind of going over, the reason they issue this is because they want to let people know not to do any outdoor burning and to properly dispose of any smoking materials. That smoke has been felt and smelled, or you could smell it all the way up in northern Hartford County, all the way down into Meriden, and you might actually smell it again tomorrow depending on how well the fire starts to get under control. Today we ended up getting 1 degree shy of the record in the Hartford area, but we tied the record in Bridgeport. That's been the other big story here. The warmth continuing for one more day. Temperatures right now are in the 50s and right around 60 degrees. We'll see overnight lows in the 50s for most as we head towards daybreak tomorrow. And we'll see one more day with highs in the 70s, not quite as warm as today or as Monday was, but we're still talking about temperatures well above average for this time of year. Winds will be out of the south at about 5 to 15 miles an hour, and we could see some higher gusts up around 25 or 30 miles an hour. We'll talk about the return to fall coming up.
Thank you, Rachel. Well, new tonight, a person hit by a car is recovering in the hospital. Details are still limited right now, but we know it happened on Route 2 westbound near exit 17 in Colchester. Police say the highway is shut down for the investigation, and it's still unclear when the road will reopen. We'll update you as soon as we learn more.
A 12-year-old girl is in the hospital tonight with injuries from a hit and run. It happened this afternoon on Ocean Avenue in New London. The girl was quickly rushed to the hospital. We don't know how serious her injuries are right now. Police have located the vehicle involved, but the driver is still at large tonight.
A waste management worker is dead after an accident in Berlin. Police say a 66-year-old was hit by a payloader at a recycling facility on Christian Lane. They were taken to the hospital where they were pronounced dead. Their identity has not been released, and OSHA is involved with this investigation.
And new at 10 tonight, a school bus crash is under investigation. It happened on McVee Road in Westbrook yesterday afternoon, involving a car and a school bus. The road was temporarily shut down for downed electrical wires. Westbrook Fire Department says fortunately there were only minor injuries and there were no students on the bus at the time of the accident. The cause of the crash is still unclear tonight.
A man's turned himself into police on charges related to a deadly crash in Avon. This crash happened earlier this year. Tim Pressier is charged with negligent homicide in the death of Jill Ayers. Pressier is accused of crossing lanes on Waterville Road on February 20th, hitting Ayers' car. He's being held on a $245,000 bond.
Well, several people were arrested after a brawl involving dozens of high school students in Branford. Police tell us 70 students gathered yesterday afternoon inside a Dunkin' Donuts and, in fact, outside in the parking lot as well. As officers responded to disperse the crowd, a struggle broke out between two students and an officer. Excuse me. 8 teens were arrested, along with one 18-year-old. Police say they anticipate more arrests being made.
911 operations are back up and running after a massive outage earlier today. You may have actually received an alert on your phone saying Connecticut services were experiencing issues. I know I did. Well, it's still unclear what caused the outage. Connecticut Department of Emergency Services is just calling it an equipment issue involving a commercial carrier.
With the general election just 2 weeks away now, more than 17 million Americans have already cast their ballots.
Early voting setting records in several states, and Connecticut's no exception here. Fox 61's political reporter Emma Wolfhorst has a breakdown on how many voters turned up to the polls.
More than 56,000 people across the state took advantage of the first day of early voting. That's about 2.5% of all eligible voters. And as this is Connecticut's first general election with early voting, that's a record. That's more than 3 times the total number of voters in the state's August primary. Now, Connecticut does have a large independent and unaffiliated voting bloc who couldn't vote in the primary, and turnout is always higher in presidential elections, but officials say this shows voters' enthusiasm for not just the general election, but early voting. Crowds died down in many cities Tuesday, but some election officials in small towns like Darien say they still saw high turnout. In the first 2 days, Darien saw around 800 people, more than 5% of the town's registered voters. Every town has at least one early voting location, but it isn't at your typical polling place, so check your town or the state's website to find your location. Another thing to check, your voter registration status. If you need to re-register or sign up for the first time, you can do so in person at your polling location. Voters have the next 12 days to vote in person, including 2 full weekends.
This is a real important voting time. So early voting, no long lines, no excuses. People can do it on their lunch breaks. You got till Sunday, November the 3rd. So no complaining. Let's get this done.
Another reminder here, as opposed to voting on Election Day, you won't be running your ballot through the tabulator machine right after you fill it out. Instead, you'll put it inside a sealed envelope. This is because none of these early voting votes will be counted until Election Day on November 5th. We have all of your election info plus what races will be on your ballot on our website at fox61.com. In the studio, Emma Wolforst, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.